Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Run Selfie Repeat podcast, where we talk about life with a side of running. My name is Kelly Roberts, and if I sound awful, it's because I don't feel good. I feel awful. I'm like fairly certain I caught something coming home from Tokyo, and I feel sick. So sick. I've got a little bit of a scratchy throat. Not scratchy, just sore. Like and I feel exhausted. And I just feel sick. I feel awful and I sound awful. And if I look awful, it's because I feel awful. But the show must go on, you know? But my trip to Tokyo was the best ever. I had so much fun. I haven't taken a vacation since I don't know. Honestly, don't know the last time I took a vacation. So it was much needed. Like, It was just so it was so fun. I was really nervous. I've never been to Asia before, so it was my first time going to Asia. And the first 2 days I was all alone. I went to Disneyland and Disney Sea, which was a dream come true. It was everything I had wished it to be and so much more. And I was nervous, and a lot of people in Tokyo don't speak English. So, I but luckily we have Google and we have, I use an app to communicate with a lot of people and, it's easy to point to stuff and people are so kind. And the other days I had a friend end up in Tokyo because she also went to the Eras tour. I went because we had Taylor Swift tickets, and then obviously I really wanted to go to Disneyland Tokyo and Tokyo Disney Sea because I'm a Disney lover, Disney stan, and it's been a dream forever to go to that park specifically, Disney Sea. And the trip was just incredible, and I had so much fun with my friends and getting to catch up with everyone who was there, and I just it it's scary to go to places that you've never been before, and it reminded me how important it is for all of us, especially here in America, to go places outside of our comfort zone, go to places like Asia, go to places that aren't like London, because we're in a crazy time here in America. We're in a really scary time. There's a lot of division and there's a lot of outside forces like working very, very hard to divide us. And Trumpism is everywhere. And this whole notion of America first, make America great again. We're the best country in the world. When you go other places, it is so striking. It's all the ways that we I don't want to get too political, but former administrations have really, really, really hurt middle class, working class. And when you go places where healthcare is a right and they treat people with respect, and you go places like Tokyo where like respect is such a thing there, and like everything from queuing to like just the way people talk to each other for the most part, it's just a very different culture. And you are reminded like we are one global world and we are all very connected, and it was just really, really great. It was really great to see how people do things, and I always felt very safe, and it was beautiful and so clean, and their subway system was incredible, and I really loved it. I had so much fun. It was really, really great. So, this is your reminder. When you can travel, definitely do it. You don't need to spend millions of dollars to travel. Obviously, it's a huge privilege, but I'm really glad I went. I had a really good time, and this cold was totally worth it. Oh my god, I had so much fun. And the Eras tour. I wouldn't even say I'm a Swiftie. Like, I definitely love Taylor Swift's music, and I listen to, I have Reputation in 1989, like those albums. I wouldn't say I've listened so much to Folklore or Evermore. Some songs on Midnights, it was a little too slow for me, but the concert was incredible. Like, talk about a marathon. Uh yeah, the production value was great, and we ended up having these incredible seats. We had incredible seats to begin with, but I went with my friend Carol, who is a family friend, and Carol's the one who got these tickets, and she got tickets for her and her daughter who's in college, and her daughter didn't wanna go. She didn't wanna miss school, and we just happened to bring it up at Thanksgiving, and I was like, "Carol, I will go with you. Don't sell those tickets." And she was like, "Really? Okay, let's do it." So, we had great seats to begin with, and then we were sitting in our seats. We there was a mom and a younger daughter in front of us, and The mom was taking a picture of the daughter, and so I was like, "Oh, I'll take do you want me to take a picture of both of you?" Obviously, like, not everybody speaks English, and so we were able to communicate, and we took a picture for them, and then they didn't have friendship bracelets, so we gave them some of ours. And then Carol and I went and traded friendship bracelets around Tokyo Dome, and when we came back, we got back on our seats, and there was another mom and daughter with them, and both daughters were sitting in the seats and the moms were standing, and they were communicating to the people next to them, "Do you mind switching seats with us? Would you like to switch seats with us? We all wanna sit together. We've got great seats." And I could see on the phone their seats, and they were right in the center, and me and Carol looked at each other and we're like, "We'll switch with them." And they were kind of like the people that they were trying to switch with were a big group, and they were all trying to communicate with each other, "Do we want to? Do we not want to?" And so Carol goes, "We'll switch with you." Carol's like, "I'm a mom. I totally get it. We'll totally switch with you." And they're like, "Yeah, this is too complicated. We'll switch." So we had no idea where our seats were, our new seats. We like took screenshots of their tickets because that you have to use something called AnyPass in Tokyo. So we took pictures of theirs and everything's in Japanese. We have no idea. We can't read it. We don't know. And so we're like asking for help to get to our new section and our new seats. And they were incredible, incredible seats. Like the best seats ever. And we were just like, how did we get this lucky? And then everyone around us also was so loud and so fun. And so we were like making friends with the girls next to us who were from China. And we were making friends with the girls and guys in front of us who were from the Philippines. Like we were just like all like there were so many different people from Asia at the show. It was so much fun. I will say, like, as a community builder, the respect I have for the environment that she's created with the friendship bracelets, which I don't even know if it was her. I think the Swifties have just set up this incredible form of connection. Like so many people there did not speak English, but being able to communicate about, "Oh, do you want to trade?" And you'd point to your bracelets and everyone was so excited and everyone made these bracelets and it was just so fun even when you couldn't communicate with each other via language. You knew we were all sharing the same experience and it was so wonderful and so lovely and it was so fun, but it definitely was like so quiet in the stadium compared to what shows we've seen in the States. Like, it definitely wasn't, like, silence, but people don't really, like, scream the way they do here. I mean, there was one point where the girls in front of us was yelling "Mother," like, that's a popular thing that people call "Mother," and she yelled "Mother," and it was, like, dead silent in the stadium. Like, I am 100% positive that Taylor heard her. Like you just you wouldn't come up with that in the States, but the stadium was also tiny, like teeny, teeny, teeny tiny compared to our giant stadiums here in the States. So that was cool to have like a more intimate show. Like it obviously wasn't like a 1,000-person theater, but compared to our giant, massive outdoor stadiums, like it felt very small. So that was cool. And then like at the slower parts, everyone sits down, which was like for a 3.5-hour show, we were like, thank God everyone's sitting down. This is so great. But the show was incredible. I'm so glad I went. I have so much respect for those background dancers and everyone putting that show on. It was really fantastic and really fun. I really enjoyed it. I went to the Reputation tour and I thought it was really boring. So, like, it was one of the reasons why I wasn't really interested in going to the Eras tour. I was like, the production value just isn't what you might get at a Beyonce concert or something that I'm a bit more interested in, a bit more of like spectacle. But this show it was a spectacle. It was so wild and fun and it moved, man. I thought Reputation was a little bit of a snooze. The Reputation tour, 1989 looked amazing, but I'm really glad we went to the Eras tour. I had so much fun. It's a memory I'll cherish for the rest of my life. That whole trip it was so incredible and so much fish, so much sushi, so delicious. We had a lot of fun, a lot of fun. But enough about that. Shall we talk about what we're talking about today? I wanted to do this episode because this is probably one of the biggest hurdles, one of the biggest mind F's, one of the biggest topics that we do a lot of work on at the Badass Lady Gang when you train with me, whether you do a training experience with us or you join the team. Speed work and anxiety around speed work, right? This fear of doing speed work. How do you manage? What do you do when your fear of speed work or speed play or quality sessions has you wanting to just straight up skip those workouts? I mean, I literally just answered an email today of someone saying like, I think it's too much. Should we just do easy runs? And the truth is, yes, you can always skip your speed play sessions. It's not necessary for running. As a newer runner, I remember when I moved to New York City and I started starting to run with other people. I had a friend who led a Lululemon group run, and they went to the track every week, and I would just run outer laps of the track while they did speed work because I was too scared to do speed work. I just had all of these flashbacks to high school when we'd have to do the timed mile, and that effort level really scared me. Running was already so hard that I didn't want it to make it harder by doing something like that, and I had a very big fear of failure, and I had all of these expectations of what it would be like, so I never even wanted to try. And then there was one day where my friend really just kind of like put his foot down and was like, "Kelly, this is ridiculous. Just do the speed work. It's super fun. You don't have to do it perfectly. You can stop at any time. Like no one cares. We're all here to just play. It's speed play." And we did it, and I ended up really enjoying it. And I was kind of like, wow, what was I scared of all that time? And then when I started training really, really, really a lot more strategically, and I started doing a lot more volume and harder sessions. I was like, wow, this is really hard and scary. So everything checks out. So why do we need speed work? We do speed work in a training plan. One, because we're building mental and physical strength in a different way, right? Running is an aerobic activity. We're going slow, strong, steady. You're in the aerobic zone. You are building all that. You're building your aerobic capacity. All those physiological adaptations are happening. You're getting mitochondrial density, right? Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. They are able to take oxygen and a bunch of other things and quickly make ATP, which is a form of energy, right? Other things are happening. You're getting better at clearing lactate. You're getting better and more efficient at clearing waste products, at transferring water and oxygen and carbon dioxide out, right? You're keeping your heart rate lower when you're working harder, right? Like that's physical fitness. So a lot of stuff are happening. Papillary development, myoglobin content, all sorts of stuff are happening in addition to like lungs getting stronger, heart getting stronger, legs getting stronger. All this is happening when we're building aerobic strength. So the majority of your plan will always be aerobic, slow, strong, steady work, right? Conversational paced stuff. But then we sprinkle in speed work where we're going to work different effort levels. We're going to work your lactate threshold. We're going to work your threshold. We're going to work your top end. We're going to work a bit slower, right? We're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We're going to work in different zones. You're going to work different muscle groups, right? You have fast twitch fibers, you have slow twitch fibers, you have in between where there's a little bit of both. You have all this different stuff. So your form's different. There's all this different stuff, right? When you work with me at the Badass Lady Gang, we do hill repeats, repetition work, interval work, threshold work, sometimes a little bit of marathon pace work, or you might have some stuff in your long runs where you're doing a bit more, you're doing a long run, then you're doing some quality stuff. But those are basically generally the zones that we are playing in. So, depending on how much volume you're doing or how much intensity you're doing, you will have 1, 2, sometimes 3 speed play days a week. Everyone's different, but not only are we doing the mental and physical stuff, or I should say the physical stuff, but we're working mental stuff, right? Running is a mental sport. It is the biggest uh what's the word I'm looking for? Like ball and chain around your ankle is when you don't work on your mental game. It is a hurdle. It is an obstacle. You are hurting yourself if you are not working on your mental game because running is such a mental sport. The thing that we are all striving for is being ultra present. We are being super mindful of what we are thinking, what we are feeling, and how we are behaving, right? Think, feel, behave. Thing like that. We're always conscious of what's happening. But in order to become mindful of all of that, it's a process. So there's a bunch of different things that we're going to kind of talk through in this specific podcast episode. And there's so many more things. But I think the biggest thing I want to just double down on is you don't need to do this alone. It is so much easier when you train with a team or with a coach or someone who can really help you and support you in this mental mindset stuff. Come train with Badass Lady Gang. Do a training experience, do the team, and then do the mental work. I know it's a lot. I know it's making a hard thing so much harder, but it will serve you for the rest of your life. Show up for yourself. Do this work. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing that I would have you start to do is set realistic, process-based goals throughout your speed work. What is a process goal? Process goals are things like I want to get better at becoming conscious and mindful of what I'm saying to myself before, during, and after a workout. So I'm going to journal for 1 week and try to get into the habit of quickly like grabbing my phone, opening a notes app if I don't want to do my journal, and just saying like, Right now I'm feeling dead tired. I'm telling myself I can't do this. I'm telling myself this is going to be really hard. I'm starting to get anxious about not being able to hit my paces, whatever, right? Like just write it, just train of thought, right? Whether you write it down or just speak it into your notes, then go, right? And then sometimes in the middle, you can stop yourself, especially if you're mind fucking yourself and say, like, right now, I cannot for the life of me hit my paces. I'm really frustrated. My heart rate is really high. I feel like I'm running through mud. I don't know what to do to get out of this, right? I'm trying so hard. I'm reaching for my mantras. I'm counting my steps. I'm letting my exhales out longer. I'm smiling, like whatever, right? Like start telling yourself the things that you're doing, and then where we might be able to start to notice where the block is, or where the what shifts we can start to make, right? Process related goals. I want every single time I am in the moment, tell myself I can't hold on. Instead, make that shift to I don't know if I can hold on. Let's just hold on until I get to that light, right? I closed my eyes. I was just visualizing. So, what are some process-based things that you can start to do? This week, I'm really gonna focus on getting into a routine before I run. So I'm not gonna get dressed until I'm about to run. I'm gonna get dressed, I'm gonna foam roll, I'm gonna put my hand on the door, and I'm gonna close my eyes and take a big deep breath in. I'm gonna let it out on an exhale, "Ha," and then I'm gonna say, "Why? Why am I doing this?" And just set an intention for the run, right? I just want to get out there today. I am putting a lot of pressure on myself to feel good out there because I've been training for 8 weeks, and if I don't feel good, I give myself permission to be where I am and take as many walking breaks or moments of whatever that I need, and getting out there is the goal. Feeling whatever I feel is fine, right? That's all examples of process related goal. Process is not black and white, right? Let's say today you have 8 50-second hill repeats, and then you have a 3-minute recovery where you walk down the hill and then maybe you run for 90 seconds, or maybe you run for 60 seconds, jogging away and then coming back, right? Maybe your goal today is to get really actionable about the workout itself. I feel like actually I have this later, but we'll go over it now. One of the things that I'm really always like trying to get to with my athletes is how can we set up a plan for your workouts, right? Even if your plan doesn't call for a progression, or even if your plan doesn't call for whatever, it's just 8 50-second hill repeats with a 3-minute recovery. We can still get really purposeful and actionable and make a plan for the workout itself. So maybe we're instead of, right, anytime you're doing repeats, chunk them, right? You're not doing 8. Maybe you're just doing 1, or maybe you are doing 2 4 times. So you're always just like one more. Just focus on the one that you're in, right? Be here now. You want to focus on one, but you don't want to think about how much further you have to go. Think about the marathon. You're not going to run a marathon and go mile 1, 25 to go. You're just, maybe you're focused on 5K, maybe you're focused on 10K. You're chunking it into a really manageable section where you know the actionable steps that you have to execute, that you want to execute, that you are being purposeful about executing, and not focusing on what's to come in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. You're just here. You're here in this chunk now. You're focused on what's directly about to happen, right? The only thing you can control, attitude and effort level, and what is happening right now. You have no control over what's going to happen in an hour. You have no control over what's going to happen tomorrow. It's just right here, right? It's decisions that we're making now. So it's sometimes helpful, especially with hill repeats. I always tell everybody to start in the exact same spot. And then let's say 50 seconds, you're going to write the point of hill repeats is a hard, spicy effort, but you're never going to have like paces. You're not going to have, you want to do, at least when you're training with me, you want to do 50 seconds at a 7-minute mile or a 10-minute mile. Like we're not doing that. It's just a hard, spicy pace. So I always tell everybody for the first 2, hold back a little bit, right? Don't go at that hard, spicy pace. Let's just go a bit above conversational pace. And you want to note where you end 50 seconds on. You're going to look to your left, look to your right. You're going to find a defining, landmark. Maybe it's a street sign, a stop sign, a rock, whatever, a tree. And you're going to say, perfect, this fire hydrant is my 50-second mark. I always want to try to hit this fire hydrant before I go further. So one of the things I'll tell myself is for the first 4, I'm not allowed to look at my watch until I get to the fire hydrant. Then I can look down and say like, "Oh, I'm at 52. I actually went over." But the point is you want to try to hit that every single time before 50 seconds. So that's our first 2. We're going to go a little bit less than all out. Then the next 2, right? We know we're doing 8. So this is getting us to halfway. We're going to try to just keep executing. We're going to try to hit that maybe a little bit faster. So maybe we get to like 47, 46 seconds and we have like 5 more seconds to go. And then the next two, we're going to say, perfect. We're actually going to chunk this one in half. So I think halfway to that fire hydrant, right? Like my finishing point, my imaginary finishing point. Obviously, I'm not on a hill. I'm sitting in a chair with you here at my office. The halfway point is going to be that porta potty. So when I hit that porta potty, I'm actually going to I'm going to stand up tall. I'm going to pump my arms even harder, and I'm going to try to push even harder for that second half. Same effort level for the first part, but then I'm going to try to unlock a next gear. Maybe I'm going to do that for the next two, and then maybe see what's happening. And then for the final two, I'm going to say, perfect. Can I actually keep progressively before the porta potty? Can I get harder so that I'm finishing hardest at the very top, and then noticing, am I running significantly farther than the fire hydrant, or am I like just barely hitting the fire hydrant? There's no right or wrong. You're just making a plan and trying to execute, and you're thinking what worked, what didn't work, right? And the whole time you're just being mindful of one more. What am I doing on this one, right? Does that make sense? Perfect. So set realistic process-based goals and be actionable about what's going to happen on the day in the workout, right? Next, focus on effort level, not the outcome. This is especially true when you're doing something specific, you're chasing a specific outcome goal. Let's say you're trying to break 2 hours in the half marathon. You might have a bit more of specific paces that you're trying to hit in your workouts, but you still want, even when you're focused on hitting specific paces, you still really want to be focusing on effort level, right? Because the only thing you really ever want to be focusing on is your personal best effort. Personal best effort is the only thing, the only goal that you're ever really trying to hit. And it's going to be different day after day after day. It's always going to look different. It's always going to feel different. So it is incredibly, incredibly hard, even when you're trying to hit specific outcomes, to focus on what you can do right now. Always making choices. Remember coins in the coin jar. Even if you let's just say the day's just kind of going sideways. Let's say you have 400-meter repeats at interval pace. Again, we're trying to break 2 hours in the half marathon. So maybe interval pace is going to be something like 8-minute effort. Let's say we're trying to come through 400 in, I don't know if it's 2 minutes, but I think it might be 2 minutes. So let's say you're doing it and you have 8 400-meter repeats at interval pace. So 2-minute mile pace, not 2-minute mile pace. 2 minutes is what you want to be finishing 400 meters in, about that 8-minute mile pace. So let's say you're finishing and you're coming in at 220, or maybe you're coming in at 210, or maybe one time you're at 150 and you're just all over the place. Instead of just getting into your head and starting to be like, I don't understand why I can't hit this. I feel like shit. And you're just focusing on your breath, and your breath is triggering and you're starting to panic a little bit, right? Stop. You just stop, take a big deep breath, let it out on an exhale, and say, this is not about hitting perfectly. This is about giving myself my personal best effort. What does my personal best effort look like? Well, it just means showing up and doing my best and focusing on this hard, spicy effort. So I guess what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to focus on 200-meter efforts. I'm going to focus on curve, straight, curve, straight. And I'm just going to focus on trying to hit that effort level, that perceived effort level. Maybe I'm allowed to check my watch once at the 200-meter mark. Again, if you're not on a track and you're out in the wild, right? One of the things that Speedwork is really good for, it's about teaching you distance and perceiving distance so that you can look ahead of you and say, I think that stoplight is 800 meters away or 1600 meters away, 1 mile, whatever, right? So you can start to pull things towards you. You can start to fixate. It's a way to be mindful and present, is start to gauge distance and effort. And it's going to help you in time trials and on race day and when you're racing. So we do want to start to become a bit more curious and mindful about gauging distance. So maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to check my watch at the 200-meter mark. I get to look down, and if I see him at 120, I don't panic. I say, that's okay. Can I hold this effort? That's the goal. And then maybe you're going to try to push the final 20 meters or 50 meters, whatever. And if you finish and you're way off or way under, you know the adjustments that you need to make. Not every speed play session is about going for broke and trying to be faster than what's expected of you. The goal is always to hit what is prescribed for you. If you are running significantly faster in the effort level doesn't feel that crazy, the paces are off, right? So we just want to adjust those paces. So things like that. But we do want to focus on putting coins in the coin jar. We want to teach you that you can run strong on tired legs, that you can be actionable and present and mindful. And even on a day where everything in your mindset is just so off and you're just really frustrated, you can really, really, really in those moments make really conscious efforts to be more present and to be resilient, even when like just you're in the tumultuous environment of just like a bad mind day, right? You can still do things. You can pull for tools in your tool belt to just focus on one at a time and just stay present and run the mile you're in. So we really want to focus on effort level, not outcome. That's again coming back to process. The next one is really about focusing on progress and not perfection, right? Process is not linear. Progress is not linear. There are going to be days where you feel like you're crashing and burning, where you feel like you're just like not getting better, where you're panicking, where you feel like you messed up the workout, you feel like you're not hitting your paces, you feel like you can't get present, you're feeling anxious, you're not able to finish a workout, you're having panic attacks, like right? Like I've had panic attacks. Your breathing is triggering. So if you start to focus on your breath, it can lead to that kind of stuff. What we want to do is always focus on moving through, right? Working on developing process and defining strategies to help you move through those rough patches so that you're ready for anything. You know how to navigate whatever comes your way, regardless of whether you planned for it or you didn't, right? How can we celebrate the victories, even if they're small, right? How can we help to work to build confidence and keep you motivated even when everything goes sideways? If we're focusing on putting coins in the coin jar and we're focusing on progress and not perfection, even when you have just like the crappiest day, you can still finish and be like, oh my God, that was really crappy. What worked, what didn't work, perfect, coins in the coin jar, shake it off. I'm always working with my athletes to like go through the checklist. Bad runs are going to happen. Tough, challenging runs are going to happen. There will be days where you might feel like you're crashing and burning. We want to quickly run through a checklist. How is your sleep? Where are you in your cycle? Are you perimenopause or premenopause, postmenopause, right? If you're peri or post, are you doing too much hard stuff back to back to back to back to back? What is your recovery looking like? What was your warm up like? What's your stress level like at home, at work? Are you hydrated? Are you did you go into it fed? Are you fasted? Right? Like there's what's the weather like? What were you saying to yourself before you started? You can quickly like run through a checklist of things to maybe try to find a reason for why that workout was so significantly mentally challenging or just felt so crappy. Sometimes you might find something, and other times, like, there's no rhyme or reason, just bad runs happen. They do make you stronger in the sense that it's another way that you can trust that you can problem solve and that you can get through something when you don't feel great. I always use the example of the last time I ran the Chicago Marathon, the whole Chicago Marathon, not my fake Chicago half marathon. The last time I really tried to qualify for Boston, I had the best training cycle I've ever had in my whole life. I felt so mentally strong. I believed with every fiber of my being that I could do this, accomplish this goal. Everything in my training pointed to it. My last long run, I ran so blazingly fast and my heart rate was so low. Like all the signs said yes. I know now that I was in the high hormone phase and that I should have fueled faster, but I also know that because I have polycystic ovary syndrome, sometimes my high hormone phases are just really bad and shitty and I feel like shit and I feel really heavy and I just don't feel great. And so we started the race and I felt awful. I felt like I was at mile 20 immediately. My heart rate was really, really high, even though I was like 30 seconds off pace because that's how you start a marathon. You're behind your pace, your goal pace. You want to start slow. And had I not have done all the mental work, I would have panicked and probably walked off the course. But I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know about the high hormone stuff. I didn't know I should have probably been fueling a little faster, but I did have the wherewithal to say, hey, you can run your tits off. You can have the best day, even if you feel like this. You can run strong on incredibly tired legs. Your legs aren't tired. You just feel fatigued and tired. You're fine. Everything's fine. The only goal is is to execute as best you can and focus on your effort level. And we're gonna look down, we're gonna see the paces, and regardless of what they say, we're just gonna constantly push. We're just gonna keep pushing and keep fighting, stay in the fight. Like, literally, that just is what happened to me. That is what I was saying. And I didn't hit my goal. I was 7 minutes off of it, but I still hit a huge PR and I still had this incredible strong day. And I was so present and so mindful. And even though it hurt and it felt awful the entire way, and like to the point where I thought my calves were going to explode, I was cramping, like so much was happening. And I was like, it's fine. I'm fine. I just need to keep pushing. Personal best effort, personal best, personal best. And that's comes from years and years and years of working on mindfulness, on working on mental game. That's what can happen when you trust that even when you're feeling awful and terrible, that you can still give yourself your personal best effort. You trust yourself. That is what this work is doing, right? We're trusting that you can just keep going, right? So that's why we want to focus on progress, not perfection. That's why we want to focus on doing your personal best effort, not on hitting exactly what you should be hitting, or else it's a fail, right? The next one is accurate self-talk, and this is a gift from Dr. Bob. So much of this is a gift from Dr. Bob, sports psychology wizard. I always call him that. He's a sports psychologist and an incredible one. We really want to start to get curious about, and you hear me talk about this all the time, what are you saying to yourself before, during, and after workouts? Log it, journal it, get curious about it, right? Think, feel, behave. Think, feel, behave. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? And then how are you behaving? We can't make shifts and changes unless we start to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling, right? All of these things. We want to start defining mantras, positive affirmations. What are some of the tools that you can reach for when your self-talk is more negative than accurate, right? You can do hard things, but you can't do hard things if you don't work to make the changes in what you believe to be true about yourself. I can't do this. Things like that. Like, that's not accurate self-talk. You don't know if you can do this. It hasn't happened yet. You can't predict the future. We really, really, really want to make this work actionable. Oh my God. I just literally thought someone just whispered in my ear. I just had a heart attack. I think my apartment is haunted. It is haunted in here. My literally the arm hairs on my arm are standing up straight. That was terrifying. I might have been my cats hissing or something because I have these gnarly headphones on, but what? Anyways, back to it. Another tool that you can reach for is visualization. Ghosts. Visualize. You really want to visualize yourself in those moments making the decisions that you're making. You want to visualize the best case scenario. You want to visualize the worst case scenario. You want to see yourself in those moments where everything hurts and you really, really, really have to fight to stay in it and fight to stay present and fight to make the decision to keep fighting when everything is screaming, stop, 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 stop. No, no more, no more, no more. Right? How can we visualize workouts and sessions? How can we visualize race day? You want to see yourself running strong and confident and in control in workouts. You want to visualize yourself on those bad days or tough days or challenging days. Like, see yourself in those moments, what tool you're reaching for, and then see yourself successfully executing, right? You really, 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 really want to see yourself making decisions in times of tribulation and discomfort. You want to see it. If you know what to expect, if you know it's going to hurt like hell, and you know it's going to be really hard, it's not as surprising. It's not as discombobulating, right? Like, you expect it and you welcome it. One of our team members, Leslie, she always talks about donning the pain cape, like a literal pain cape, right? Think of a weighted blanket. If you put it on and you expect it to be heavy, it's not as surprising when the blanket is heavy. You want to expect it to hurt like hell. It's less jarring and it's less like just disorienting when you just know what to expect. So you want to familiarize yourself with how uncomfortable it's going to be, possibly painful, and that you can do hard things when you're really hurting, that you can run hard. You can even run harder than you think you can, right? You can see yourself in the moment doing it. You want to reinforce those positive outcomes by visualizing it, by seeing yourself making those decisions and making it muscle memory, right? The next one is the most important one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, and that's fostering a supportive environment. I am a huge, huge, huge believer of vicarious learning. One of the pieces of the puzzle to get to self-efficacy, this belief that you will succeed, is having a supportive environment, whether it's in a coach and a team. And that's one of the things that I've really, really, really fought to make one of the biggest core pillars of what we do is to have a supportive environment. We have group coaching calls. You have when you join the Badass Lady Gang training team or you do one of our training experiences, you get on a group call and you have this supportive, safe environment where you can feel comfortable sharing fears, failures, struggles, uh success, all the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, where you can talk through what's actually happening and you can hear other perspectives and you can hear experiences that haven't happened to you yet. You can get encouragement from your coach, from your team. You can have people problem solve with you and offer so many different modes of avenues there, right? Like if you think of a mountain, there's so many different paths up the mountain. Some of them intersect, some of them don't. Having a team means you have so many people who are going to give you different perspectives. I am one person who's going to give you many, 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 many different tools, but sometimes people offer other things, or some of our experts who do our expert talks, they'll offer other tools. And what works for one person might not work for someone else. So having a buffet of like advice is only going to help you. So have that supportive environment. You don't need to train alone. Get the support you deserve. It's just going to make you a stronger runner and a more resilient runner. So I can't recommend joining, what we do, our team, our training experience, and have that supportive environment as you chase down a big goal. Next, you want to reflect. You want to define what success is and what failure is for you. You want to reflect on past successes, on past perceived failures. You really do want to be journaling, because if you're not noting it, if you're not unpacking it, if you're not understanding how you moved through it, you're never really going to be able to understand how to do it again, or what you can do to create success for yourself. That's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes so many people make is they don't define expectations, they don't define success, and they don't define failure. So it's easier to have insurance policies or to hold yourself back if you don't define what success is for yourself. And honestly, the way I think everybody should define success is having the courage to try and give it your best effort, right? That's not a specific outcome. You can have a specific outcome goal, but the biggest goal is to give it your personal best, to actually show up for yourself, have a plan, and try to execute, right? Uh, Lean on a coach, make an actionable plan. Sometimes it's really helpful to talk through things with a coach. And then last but not least, this is one I really, really believe in. A lot of people expect for the hard stuff to like just be able to get through it. If you don't have a plan for how to make it fun, it's just going to feel hard and insurmountable. You need to know some of the things that you can do to have fun, whether it's run with other people, find people to run with, whether it's have a fun playlist, whether it's make like stop and dance, whatever it is, like have a plan to make it fun. Don't just expect it to happen, right? But those are like the big things that I would start with when it comes to having this fear of speed work. But try, 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 try. Remember, it's not about perfect. It's not about going like blacking out or throwing up or going so hard that, like dry heave. You could run as hard as you want, or you can run as not hard as you want. It's just about playing differently. Enjoy your recoveries, walk them, be where you are, and just remember, it's just about taking it one at a time. But not every day is going to feel great. The goal is to be in a place where you kind of just don't think about anything. Your mind kind of goes blank. You're noticing thoughts, but for the most part, you're pretty neutral, right? There's no high highs, there's no low lows. You're very neutral. That's the goal. But speed work will help make running more fun. It'll make you a stronger, more well-rounded runner. So highly recommend everybody do their speed work. But yeah, that's that. But come train with us. If you hate your speed work, come train with Badass Lady Gang and talk about it on the group coaching calls. Bring your questions, all that good stuff. Everything that you need to learn more about how you can train with us, whether you do a running plan, a training experience, or the team, is all listed down below. Yes? Okay. I didn't write these down, so I'm going to very quickly try to find them in my email. We had some podcast questions. Okay, the first one comes from Rachel B. For a new runner or a runner coming back after a break, how much base running do you recommend before incorporating speed work, such as tempo runs and intervals? Oh my God, what a timely question. So the truth is, you don't need a base in order to do speed work. If you don't have a base and you're just coming back from running, do I recommend going out and doing 10-minute or 5-minute threshold pace runs? No. I would do a month of like building from like 10 or 20-minute runs up to 30 and 40-minute runs. Have 4 weeks under you where you're going slow, strong, and steady. 8 weeks. At about 4 weeks, I start incorporating some shorter play sessions, maybe some 20, 30, 40-second, maybe 50-second speed play work where you're running spicy and you have longer recoveries. But 4 weeks, I would say, before you start to incorporate speed work. I know I saw one more in my email. Let me see if I can find it quickly. But if not, we will. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. This one's from Xavier D. I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong, Xavier. Kelly, I found your account back in 2019 and then later fell out of running and lost my momentum. I just saw your face on TikTok. I saw that viral video and it was so fortuitous because I've gotten back in the game and I've started training for my first marathon. Oh, very cool. I'm now slamming all of these episodes and it's been so fun to catch up as I get back in the swing of things. Okay, question. How do you control your speed on long runs when you know you should be going slower, but you're feeling good? Not a terrible problem to have, but I realize, but it's been my toxic trait. Thanks for wisdom and your great work. Okay. So we see a lot about like slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. And while that is true, your slow runs should be slow, strong, and steady, right? We want to think actionable steps. So you know when you're starting to push it a little bit too hot. Sometimes maybe you're running with people who are a little bit too fast for you. If you can sing I want to dance with somebody and be relatively comfortable and you're not gasping for breath every 2 words, you're in the right zone, right? If you notice that you're just running too fast, be specific. If you run with music, maybe it's every chorus, you slow down a little bit. Every chorus, slow down a little bit. Or maybe you take some walking breaks just to force yourself to let your heart rate come down. But learning how to pace yourself and learning how to slow down and feel okay slowing down is just something that takes time. And you just want to be actionable about when and how you do that. You already seem to know that you're running a little bit faster than you should because maybe you're getting excited. But it starts with if you notice the behavior, if you're noticing that you're doing it, make a plan for things that you can do just to help you pull it back a little bit. But you might also be fine. It might just be getting in your head that everyone's yelling at you, slow down, slow down, slow down, right? Heart rate data is not 100% accurate, but it is information that we can rely on. So look at it. If your heart rate is crazy high, we definitely want to be slowing down. If your heart rate is in a zone that you know that is your like normal range, you might be okay. So I know that's not like the most helpful piece of advice, but that's what I would say. If you have a question, you can always submit it to information down below. But that's all, everybody. That's all I have today. Thanks for listening. Kick ass. Take names. I'll catch you next time.